Yo, yo, yo. I haven't even tried my tea yet. It's 10:10, everybody. And I'll have a tea. This is Earl Grey. Mmm. Woo! Something on the back end there, and it's just delightful. Second cup coming right up. Well done. Check the rankings to see your position. I don't have to. You just told me it's 12. I'm in the 12th position out of thousands of players. That'll be just fine. I don't think we've ever got up too much higher. Oh, crap. We can get that. Is there any other lifesteal stuff in here? They're having a sale on lifesteal stuff. We get that. Take this dude. Morning. How you doing? How are you doing? We got news to talk about. They say revive blocker summon draft. 10 times chance to get the best anti-revive champions. Anti-revive. For a short time, Friday to Monday, we're giving you 10 times the chance of summoning Raid's best anti-revive champions. I've had the Excruciator, I have Phoenix. I don't know what Luria is. From Ancient, Sacred, Shards. In with Blood Twin from Void Shards. Zavia, Blood Gorged, Folly, Mortu, Macabre. So I don't know. I don't really know what's going on with all that. It's a little bit too high tech for me. I'm like into the game that you play, you know? I don't really want to read about the game too much. I'm more of a player than a reader. And that's actually a thing, for sure. That's got to be a thing. Alright, we got our breakfast is ready. I mean, it's not ready, but it's approaching a ready position here. I am going to lose it a little bit, just a little bit. I plan on losing it just a little bit. It's 2020. Who puts all this stuff here? It should be toaster, coffee maker, not coffee maker, toaster. Damn it! It was my wife. My wife has done it. I think I had the toaster. I did. I know for a fact I did because I know why. It's harder to utilize, especially if you're making long toast. I wouldn't be able to make long toast from where I am. Method to the madness, my man. Method to the madness. religious. In fact, I think 90% or of the majority of Western nations, huge percent of the population is religious. So you're basically, if you're religious, you're not going to understand about what you do, what you are. You believe you're this type of person in this way, but you're basically created by something in order to mind control. The evidence is overwhelming. Just in a day you can find this out. So we have to look at religion differently. You don't, most people, so if you're not into religion, like let's say if you're not religious, you definitely don't believe anything in those books until you actually relate it to you, right? So you can take out the story of David and Goliath and all that corporation and you, right? One huge entity that's going up against you is the Goliath. See, they could have been using two words can are easily misinterpreted, and here's a fine example. A giant, what about a gigantic corporation? Right? A gigantic evil. Right? It's evil over this. Fully intent to control you and the data, your cell phone data. Most people feel more comfortable using a cell phone than a computer. I'm kind of the opposite. I think there's a little bit more safeguards on a computer, but it's still accessible to the people set up and work and like run through and the networks that you're on, the IMEI and the IMRS, that is like your social insurance number. And as soon as your cell phone links to a cell tower, they can see everything you do, they can hear everything you do, and they can see everything you do in your home or wherever you are because of the cameras and the video capabilities. And I don't care, it doesn't bother me, it's just interesting that it exists to that level. And when you sign up for, or when you get any application on your cell phone, remember I said in the beginning, people feel more comfortable using cell phones than PCs. When you sign up for an app on your cell phone, it declares that you give up full rights to any data you have. Oh, you don't agree? Sorry, you can't complete this action. You can't download and use this application. So in order for you to use anything, so this is conditioning. Right now, this is conditioning. It's like, oh, well, you have to give up your rights, and people think that that's not a big deal, but here's why it is. So if you think you're free and, entitled to live your life without, anyone spying on you or whatever, even if you think spying is okay, just hear me out. What's happened is the people that collect the data, that own the applications, own a software company created for just this reason, to collect your data. So they get with the people who are the best video game makers in the world, and they'll run what's called terms of services. And the agreement, the terms of service, could be 6,000 pages long. Have you ever read? Do you understand what you're okaying when you accept their terms of service? It means you gave up all rights to the data on your phone. You don't own it. It's your data, but it's not your data. That's the first mistake you make. When you are on the internet, your life is now owned by the corporation who owns the application that owns your data. So when you click yes, I agree, you are becoming a slave digitally. And now you don't have to understand this right now. This is the beginning. When your children, if you have kids and they're even toddlers or they're 20 or 30 years old, in 20 years, those kids, the declaration and the agreements that we signed back in the day in 2020 and 1999, whatever it was, those are the stepping stones and the building blocks for them entirely owning us in the future. Why else would they be collecting this and using it in this way? Give you an example. If so, in China made a law that they said we're gonna bring this new law in, and there's nothing you can do to stop us. But don't worry, citizens of China, we're only going to use this in the most drastic cases necessary for like the most evil of people. Turns out anybody who dissed anybody or went and said, I'm voting for the other side, turns out you ended up in a cage last month and 2 months ago. So, and I mean, for decades and eons, this has been going on. Think about what you do as you're doing it, not after the fact. Think about the repercussions of what this is going to have on the world. So, the world right now is watching how Chinese citizens are obeying their new laws. See, the saying goes, if a law is found to cause more harm to society than good to the people, if the law is causing harm to the people, the law should be struck down. We can see every day how these politicians and these corporations, you may as well call them the cabal group, have really leaned on the law and twisted and turned it in their favor. So I notice I'm getting I'm getting commercials for free speech and other things. Like actually they're picking my channel for these types of commercials. I saw one yesterday or day before, and I was like, huh, really interesting how people who are speaking out in other countries are ending up in jail or worse. Yeah, and it was a commercial talking about this gentleman who was a freedom fighter, an activist for human rights and freedoms. That's what a freedom fighter means, by the way. So again, they'll twist and turn this. The sick and sadistic media that is owned by the cabal can twist the story of genuine, empathy and twist it to their sick and evil, disgusting. You're manipulated. If you believe what you hear listen, would there be a pandemic if you threw a fucking hammer through your TV? Would you know there was a pandemic going on? Just remember that. The only reason we know there's a pandemic is because the TV keeps telling you every day, conditioning you, training you to believe it. More people die from overdoses all over the world than the pandemic. But we're not hearing about this. So again, my name, #info, solventless, the term solventless, and my therapeutic naturopathic approach to pain is majority of the reason why I started this channel. And it just has evolved into me being here every day. And there's a lot of good info on my channel, and if people are into the channel, you can go back and watch an episode and then be right up to speed. Maybe not a single episode, maybe you got to watch a week's worth of episodes. You can be right up to speed on the channel. Now, if a donk watches it, they only watch like 7 minutes, there's flashing lights, there's loud music, they're getting all that. Some people have to have this stuff in order to even look at something. You have to be like, flashing lights have to be just screwing with your mind entirely. That's cerebral warfare, we'll call that. MK Ultra is real, And don't think that this has just been going on since the 1950s. The fallen angels they're much, very much capable of making you their puppet. It's so easy. And I'm not saying like they can control you and move your hands. If you've ever seen the TV show or the movie John Carter, which is also, that story keeps being retold. John Carter is battling forces that are unseen. You can't see them. And also these forces are chameleons. They can look like other people that you know. So I believe that, mimic and shapeshifters, doppelgangers, there's too many different words for what a fallen angel is, right? A fallen angel is something that can morph, change its shape, and I'm not saying all of them. They have a tech, there's some gizmo or some tech, it's a hologram, or it's real. They're really putting on a fake skin coat or something of this nanofiber. Something is happening, yeah? And I believe that they come into your life, bounce off you, and before they bounce off you, before they touch you, they say something, yeah? And it puts the bug in your ear, whether it be, there's many, I could give you 1,000 options. It could be divorce your husband, it could be, it could be something crazy weird, or it could be something evil, but maybe they say it in a way that, like, if we have hypnotists, okay, here's where I'm going with how deep I'm going with this. If you believe in hypnotism, and if it is scientifically proven that somebody can make you go into a trance and then tell you you're going to walk like a chicken for the rest of your life every time somebody farts, and then when you hear a fart, you start walking like a chicken, and your wife knows this because she wasn't hypnotized, but she went to the show with you, and the guy forgot to do the thing at the end and said, yeah, he forgot to scrub out what he scrubbed in, right? That shit has to be real. Or we have people who are liars, like just the high level of liar is out there. I don't know which I believe. I've never seen a shapeshifter that it was like, whoa, this dude just changed shape in front of me, and I wouldn't know if I've been hypnotized. There's a great chance that I've probably have been. If fallen angels are real, they would hypnotize us all. Not at the same time when you go into a doctor's office, a dentist office, a certain place where they can get you in a room, you know, and keep you there for a half hour, whatever it is, play some tune, and it kind of scrubs your mind, and then everything that's talked about during that time may not be what you think it was. You may remember it as, I was sitting at this hypnotist show, and I don't really remember too much after that. They'll tell you something to remember, but the fact is those are implanted thoughts. Your actual actions, or what happened during that time, you were hypnotized on stage. Guy said, when you hear farts, you're going to walk like a chicken. You don't remember that. So you can't take that away from, oh, I've never been hypnotized. You dumb shit. You would never know. So don't be so simple. Most of you are simple. And they prey on simplicity. The mockery is huge. And you want to be steps ahead of that, not always thinking, don't sit there with a tinfoil hat on. Just be a little more aware of your surroundings, and whatever you can do to keep yourself safe, do it. But I mean, there's nothing, if we're here and we are a fallen angel experiment, and all of us, right? There's going to be a tier of level of stupids, right? There's going to be stupids, very stupids at the bottom. Minimally stupid, but can still tie your shoes, second level. The third level is, We let these people have a touch of, their own self or their own spirit still, but you're still mostly stupid. So they dumb you down. What would happen if they didn't? You could overthrow them, right? But the majority of parents, and this is actually crazy, but this makes perfect sense. Your parents have been absolutely 100% dialed in, so your parents are fearful. I see this all the time, and I truly strongly believe this part. Your parents are fearful. When you're a child, you ever climbed up a hill or climbed a tree or, rode your bike with no hands across the street? Now you think to yourself, you're like, oh shit, that shit's dangerous, right? We're scared. As we age, so we're born into this world. Most of us are probably entirely fearless, born into this world. By the time you're age 60, you're scared of a common cold. You're scared after you watch the evening news, And this is the society that they created. Now you'll see people who grew up in the bush. And I mean it, grew up in the bush. They don't sit in front of a TV all day. They don't have, these little bingo conversations or little whatever conversations at the wherever old people hang out. Really don't know any other place besides bingo. That's where my grandparents hung out, was at bingo. At the coffee table was the other place. And the stories of fear that were told, it never ceases to amaze me how as a young child, as an 11-year-old and 12-year-old boy, I was absolutely fearless then. Fearless as you wouldn't believe. And I'd say I'm still pretty fearless, but when I was about 16, 17, 18, and 19, even like 20, I was like, fear wasn't even in my vocabulary. And I think people who are tainted with fear often mistake fearless for crazy. And I'll give you an example. Somebody goes skydiving and says, "Oh, you're crazy," or are you just not scared? Right? I admit that I'm scared of heights. I'm not saying if I had to save my mom's life, if I had to jump out of a plane, I'd be fucking up in that plane. But that's a pretty stupid scenario. But I'd be up in that plane, fucking at the door, parachute just getting buckled as I kick that door open. Okay, so I might be scared of heights, but if I had to, I would. Most people can't say the same at 40 or 50 or 60. Your deepest, darkest fear may be water. It could be fire. I've dealt with both of those. They're both very scary. I fear them equally, and but I mean, of course, who wants to walk into a burning building? So a burning building, and I can swim really good. So big waves in an ocean or a burning building, fuck, I'm still gonna take the big waves in an ocean. I'm gonna be 99% chance I'm toast in the big waves in the ocean, but I'm gonna do the big waves in the ocean. Burning building is just ridiculous. There's no really hope for a blood bag. We're just humans are just blood bags, right? Which leads me down my next rabbit hole. Just very quickly now. If you take out fallen angel and you add in the term Draco, but Dracula. I forget what they scrubbed my mind. There was an old saying, like an old term for Dracula, Alucard. So Alucard spelled backwards is Dracula, and Draconis and Draco are terms for vampire, bloodsucker. I mean, succubus probably as well. And so here we go. Listen to this. We are blood bags, right? So I don't know if you know about the channel or if you're new or not, but I'm a breeder, right? So I'm a breeder. So I don't like genetically modify. I don't manipulate past um, natural selection. Like I might not be using that last term right. I think I am, but natural selection is kind of it does itself. I kind of take natural selection and pick it up by the toes and kind of sprinkle it everywhere. I do natural selection much, it happens in a greater 100 times natural selection. So I'm like a catalyst for natural selection. As a breeder, that's like the level of involvement that I pursue with regard to genetic manipulation. Now, I don't manipulate genetics. I do alter genetics with pollen and good parental genes, but I don't take genetic code and strip it and add in new code. I guess I am with pollen, but it's naturally happening. I'm not there under a microscope trying to, breed in cancer into a specific race of people, make them more receptive to cancer cells. I'm not doing that. I am. I'm looking to better and further some flavors and some potency and some yield and maybe bring down some flowering times of certain varieties. That's my and bug resistance, drought resistance. I mean, there is a lot of levels, and I'm not actually. I delved far too deep for most of you have no clue. But go watch and listen to this back. I mean, it all makes sense. You have to have some inkling of life itself. But I mean, if you're watching the show, you must have some inkling. So, Dracula would be the fallen angels when they genetically manipulate, when they genetically modify human DNA, which happens all the time. Every country in the world is secretly modifying human DNA. Why? Farmers do it, as I said a minute ago, to make bigger fruits, bigger yields. They make more money. Well, Dracula would make bigger people that carry more blood per person, or get rid of a disease that's existing in the blood to make it, more nutritious for them, right? And anybody out there that thinks that there isn't somebody that's using us as food, you are mad. Think about what we do. The first thing we say is, I wonder what that tastes like on the barbecue. So give your head a shake and stop being so self centered and shallow and small minded, ignorant to the maximum, and realize that we are here for something. And a bigger purpose, probably, most definitely, isn't what your strawberry shortcake brain is thinking it is. So thank you for tuning in. I gotta say that I love these episodes where I dig and I drop this in my video game chat because, you know, there's a lot of reasons. One day, a lot of people will make sense of this, 20, 50 years from now. These words are going to be like, holy shit, this guy was way ahead of his time. He knew about them and understood why they keep us and why they maybe sometimes help us, so that, tainting of human blood across the globe would be devastating for them, unless their whole plan is to start fresh again. And I say again because, well, we have these great floods and things like that. It's funny to me. Do you have a freezer? Does your freezer get warm and unthaw if you leave the lid open? Well, maybe they're leaving the lid open on Antarctica. And maybe 150 years ago, Antarctica was all water, and they put a freezer, their alien freezer technology, dropped it into the center of the area they wanted to cube up, and then they moved on, pulled it out, and put it in another area, or took it out the bottom because it freezes up, right? And then you just pull it out the bottom and then just pour some water in and it freezes the hole up. Who knows what they're doing? Maybe it's like spray foam. You just spray and create ice instantly above the water, and then that big chunk of ice freezes under as well. There's thousands of ways that they could overnight probably freeze a body of water. If you can make a battleship that lands 5,000 helicopters and carries 60,000 people on it, you can make a fucking freezer in Antarctica. Don't be so fucking stupid. So rather than using, and here's the last point I'm going to make, and this doesn't involve even aliens. This is just, how did we ever get to the point where we decided it would be a good idea to have 300 different countries and then give all 300 countries their own army? Who thought of this? Who thought of war and armies in the first place? And who is allowing the continuation of a legacy so evil and disgusting as war itself? So I'd like you to really think about something today that has to do with anything besides a fucking TV set. Just for an hour. Contemplate and meditate and make yourself more. You know what? The strongest power you have is knowledge. It's not how much you can lift. It's not how far you can run. It's your brain. Your brain, I see it all the time. People's brains are getting weaker and weaker all the time. I remember seeing people a year or two ago that had, I really saw something in them that was pretty genuine and good. Now, 2 years later, like melted down jelly bean puddle of goop. Nothing. So don't become that. Strive to learn more. You don't have much time. They are watching to see who is getting fucking dumber. Period. Hash